This is the first item we're going to take a look at. It's a CNR unit, and you can see how we searched for it, Neurodens Cardio 4. And how this works is it puts pulsed frequencies into the tissue on the inside of the left wrist. So when you turn it on, you press the on button, and this screen will come up first. Then you press the on button and hold it down again, and you get this heart comes up and it's throbbing. And that is the start of a 5-minute program. You do it once in the morning, once in the evening. And they say if you do this long enough, it can permanently correct blood pressure. Now, the first thing we want to do when we detox the body is use the ochrapepsin E3. And the reason for this is you can have pathogens encased in dead tissue. And if you dissolve dead tissue and release these pathogens, in certain cases, it can cause disease, such as pneumonia. So what ochrapepsin E3 does is it eats away at the hardened mucus linings and causes them to break free, and they come out in a movement. You're going to see these come out. The hard mucus linings are formed by pasteurized milk and certain cooked foods. So an excellent alternative to dairy milk would be organic hemp seed powder protein milk. And the problem with the hardened mucus linings, the intestines, is they cause incomplete digestion of carbohydrates, and they're turned into instantly stored fat. They also prevent nutrients from being absorbed into the bloodstream through the intestinal walls. The body calls out for more food because it's not getting the nutrients it needs. And what do we eat? Carbs. So we like to do this. It's 30 days the first year, and if you're not doing serrapeptus on a regular basis, 10 days a year annual maintenance after that. Now we'd like to get these linings expelled before we go on to the next step. And here we have serrapeptus. And serrapeptus dissolves dead tissue. And what we're looking to do is dissolve the arterial plaque in our arteries. This is the calcium deposits. So Dr. Hans Nieper was a famous German medical doctor, and this is what he prescribed to his patients with heart disease. And he found with a clinical study that a serving every night before bed, empty stomach, for nightly for about 12 to 18 months, completely clean the arteries out. So between 360 and 540 caps. We'd like to use 120,000 SPU serrapeptus. Will completely clean your arteries out. Now, after you've done a run of cleaning the arteries, some people like to continue using serrapeptus because it dissolves fibrin, which causes the blood to thicken and clot. And typically it can be paired up with nattokinase. Now, nattokinase increases plasmin, which keeps the fibrin in check. It also dissolves live growing blood clots. So people can put these together, do them both at the same time, and use it as a blood thinner. And the frequency depends on age and diet. It could be once or twice a week, every third day, every second day, or maybe every night. It all depends. We want to keep our blood pressure in check, and preferably on the low side. I just want to get you to open your eyes up to what a pathogen can do. And we're looking at Candida and the symptoms. It is a fungal infection. And we're to come down here and take a look at the Candida symptoms list. And on the list here, we'll see sugar cravings. Your sugar cravings will be through the roof. That Candida needs you to eat sugar to stay alive. And this is very correct. Pathogens use sugar to make electrical energy. That's why they're called anaerobic. They do not use oxygen so much. And so another more common example, and this is a problem a lot of people have here, and this is what's causing your overeating, really. We're getting to the meat of the matter here. Sufferers of addictions, obesity, diseases, psychological disorders, there is a cause and a solution. Scientists are now confirming that parasites can and do alter the brain chemistry of its host for its own survival purposes, linking it to uncontrollable addictions, sugar cravings, eating disorders, just about every known disease, weight gain, feelings of anxiety, anger, depression, insecurity, self-doubt, and psoriasis. So refined sugar is toxic to the organs. It's toxic to the brain. Sugar begets sugar. Sugar is known to cause overeating. So now you're eating the inorganic meat and dairy that have the xenoestrogens in it that cause the body to store fat instead of burn fat, and especially the inorganic red meat with the growth hormones, and that's known to cause overeating. So just a secret tip here, and this is have a hair sample analyzed for mineral content and supplement for any mineral deficiencies. And this is why some people will supplement with a 70 plus trace minerals supplement, or if they're having any issues, they'll megadose 70 plus trace minerals to ensure they don't have a mineral deficiency. You could trace every ailment, every disease back to a mineral deficiency. That's what scientists have said. So the healthy diet is organic grass-fed organ meats, wild fish, organic raw vegetables, and fruit. So we're taking a look at a web page here, foodgrade-hydrogenperoxide.com. And down here there's a free book, no copyright on this book, The Truth About Food-Grade Hydrogen Peroxide, and he talks about food-grade hydrogen peroxide in the protocol. Now here's another website that we can take a look at, and you can see what's being talked about here. And we want to do a web search, and you can see what the web search is here. And you can see right here, here is a link. We'll click on this. And now we have some information here. And just a heads up, a newer protocol for illness, be it a viral infection or whatnot, and you're sick, would be 6 drops activated every 2 hours for 4 or 5 treatments per day, the first 2 days, then 3 drops activated hourly for 8 hours a day until you are well. And while we're on this information, we'll just stop and think about how toxins can cause allergies and addictions. So now we have another web page we can take a look at here. It's bobbeck.com. You'll see the Beck protocol, and what we're interested mainly in is the micropulsing. And this is micropulsing blood electrification. So what's going on here is you're putting a very small amount of current into the bloodstream, and it deactivates and kills off the pathogens. And just a little heads up here on, there's 2 arteries you get on top of. These are stainless steel electrodes with cotton covers over them that are dampened in saline solution. And just a very light pinch of salt and about 4 ounces of water will give you a saline solution. And the tip here is this urinal artery can be tough to find. So you want to feel for a divot that's in line with the little finger here. At the edge of the wrist, you can feel a tendon out here, and you go inside of that, and you don't want to get on top of a blue vein. Use your index finger to feel for it, and just barely feel it down in there. But that's where the urinal artery is, in line with divot, in line with the little finger. Now the radial artery is pretty easy to find, in between the wrist bone and tendon, in line with the index finger. Use your index finger to feel for this. This is what they use at the doctor's office, and it's very easy artery to find, the radial artery. So you get on top of these 2 arteries, and you have your unit turned down to minimum power. Then you slowly turn it up till you feel a distinct pulsing going on. And you want to make sure it's comfortable. If it's got a little bit of a bite to it, back off. But it's important to feel those pulses. That lets you know you have a circuit. It goes back and forth up here to the elbow, back and forth. And the protocol is 2 hours a day for 30 days. And they recommend to redampen the cotton covers every half hour. And that will clean up your bloodstream of these pathogens, including the parasites that can be in there. So we're going to take a look at the videos here, and you can see there's an introduction to the Beck protocol, how to use the Beck protocol, some videos to take a look at. And here, both these videos, the vintage videos, are pretty close. The Bob Beck at the Granatum Forum is about 2 hours. Electroporation is not the issue that he once thought it was when he talks about, you'll hear him talk about electroporation. Interesting story how he came about this and how he developed it. And if you look in the frequently asked questions, we'll look at the we're interested in the micropulsing here. And here they talk about electroporation. So you can take a look at what's going on here and what they have to say about it. But like I said, it's not an issue. So just a little information to take a look at. Now, after we've cleaned the bloodstream up, we want to make sure we get all of the intestinal parasites cleaned out. So we're going to do a web search here. And you can see what the web search is. And right here we have a link, and we'll click on that. And here we have The Cure for All Diseases. Now there's no copyright on this book. She's released it, and so you got a nice free download. She's got references in here. She talks about various things, but what we're interested in here is a reference for parasites. And we get down here and talk about parasites and stuff. Now, her recommended protocol for expelling parasites is the cloves, wormwood, black walnut hull. Now in the book she talks about green, black walnut hull tincture, wormwood, and clove. So here's an example of a way to knock out the parasites, and we want to make sure we get these intestinal parasites knocked out. Here is a, you can see what the search is here, water purification, and this is just an example of where you would look for information on the packet here. And yes, they do have various, you can see different examples here, and some of them, if you look, will have the citric acid. We really don't want to use citric acid because it can cause taste issues or stomach issues, so why fight it? And here is just an example, say, of really what you would be looking for. And you can see this is the preferred activator, and the what you need for the packet here to generate what you need. So just an example of what to look for. Here you can see where we're at, and we'll just scroll down here a little bit, and here's just an example of something you can take a look at here, the Beck pulsar protocol. And we need to talk about monosodium glutamate, and a lot of people don't really understand what is going on with monosodium glutamate. Monosodium glutamate ruins the receptors that tell you to stop eating. It destroys the hypothalamus, which is the brain's weight management control center. When they give monosodium glutamate to lab rats, they become obese. And you can see some of the things here that monosodium glutamate causes. Now the problem is it's not just the occasional fast food restaurant or the occasional Chinese food restaurant, but quite a few use them. And monosodium glutamate, they like to use it in chicken, ranch dressings, cream sauces. They can use it at sit-down restaurants, TGIFs, Chili's, that type of thing. It's in processed food, chips, this type of thing. And another issue here, a problem about all that is there's 40 different names for monosodium glutamate. So if you see any of these names on a label, that could be monosodium glutamate. So another website that talks about this, other names are MSG, monosodium glutamate. And so any of these names can be monosodium glutamate, such as natural flavoring. Well, natural flavors is on a lot of different things. Could have MSG. What happens here is they can add up to a certain percentage to a compound, and they don't have to list the monosodium glutamate they added to the compound, just the compound they added it to. So there's things such as maltodextrin, modified food starch. So the reason we like to cook our food from scratch is one of the reasons is to avoid all this stuff. And organic food, organic plants, it's not just avoiding the toxic residue, but organic plants are more healthy and robust because they had to rely on themselves to grow. They didn't lean on chemicals. So they have more healthy compounds in them. And what you get out of health is by the amount of hard work that you're willing to put into it.